Alright, let's see. Is this thing recording? There we go. Alright. Hey, what's up everyone? My name is Cipher Tim and welcome to today's video. Today, there's a few things I want to talk about. One, I want to talk about the channel. Two, I want to talk about the Indiana Jones playthrough. I want to talk about Subnautica, and yeah, if I still have time, I'll probably give you guys a little tour of my setup or whatever. First thing on the agenda, let's talk about the channel. So from recording Indiana Jones, I kind of learned a few things in terms of what I should and should not do. The biggest takeaway is the fact that I was recording inefficiently. What I mean by that is the method that I was using to record was actually causing my computer to bottleneck, and from the bottlenecking, that's what caused Indiana Jones to have moments of great problems. I'll just say that much. But I have learned that lesson. So if you're going through that playthrough and you're noticing all those pain points or even weird graphical issues, I don't think it's necessarily the game. I think it's just me being new at recording things on a computer and not necessarily following the proper methods of recording. But from the Subnautica videos that I've been recording, I think that I have been more efficient there, and I think what I'm doing now is much better for recording. So yeah, just a quick update on that. Hopefully the quality on the videos that I'm putting out next are a lot better. Trying to get a little better with editing, but you know, time with working a full-time job and you know, with my other stuff going on. So yeah, I'll leave it at that. Up next, let's talk about my thoughts on Indiana Jones. Now that it's finished and I've had about a week or so to think about it, I'm gonna start with the characters. I really love the characters. Emmerich Voss, man. There's something about that character that's just like memorable. Like he's such a memorable character, and you know, throughout the entire playthrough, whenever he's on screen, like he just makes you feel like, oh man, like I really want to beat this guy. The actor who portrayed him did a phenomenal job. Like I can't express that enough. Like he really brought that character to life. You know, it's really hard to do that to that degree. You know, to take a character and then just bring them to life like that, especially like in a video game. So yeah, props to that dude, whoever the actor is. He really killed it. I haven't felt that way about a character since Joffrey Baratheon and Game of Thrones. You know, that's saying something. So yeah, big props out to the guy who did Emmerich Voss. I like what they did with Indiana in this game. You know, they kind of give the whole journey, right? At the beginning, you could see that, you know, he's teaching at the school, and then all of a sudden he gets the call to adventure. But it almost seems like he was masking the call of adventure to, you know, he was masking it from whatever happened in his past, right? Something with, I believe the character's name was Marianne. Whatever is going on between him and her, this adventure seemed to be his way of like running from it. We kind of saw that with his interactions with Brody. So yeah, I like how you know, they kind of threw those hints in there at, you know, talking about his dad and whatever. The fact that like Voss was like using that to try to get in his head, you know, really good writing there. And I'm going to talk about her in a minute, but I liked his development alongside Gina. I felt like Gina was definitely a character that, you know, it caused him to think about a lot of things in his past. You could tell throughout the playthrough that, you know, he started to have feelings for her. He became more concerned with her safety and whatnot, and, you know, I liked where they were going with that. It was really well done. For Gina herself, I loved how they wrote Gina in this game. like most people would like argue like, oh, they're forcing her like to be strong or whatever. But the thing is, like, when we met Gina, she was already in the dirty, right? Like, she was already sneaking around. She was trying to get information on her own. And then from there, she got brave. She got brave. She was helping out. She was taking charge at times. Really loved the character development on her. I loved how there was like this one scene where she just kicks Voss in the nuts, and I was just all for it because like I was just thinking in my mind like kick him in the nuts, kick him in the nuts, and she freaking does it, and I lost it. But yeah, I love that. Like the fact that they threw her in, and as she's going alongside us, you know, she's she's warming up to Indiana in the beginning, and then eventually, we reach the point where we find her sister, and then that was a moment for me where it's just like, she went on this journey with us to look for her sister, and then when she found her, you know, we got to see that depth of her, right? So that's something I definitely appreciated with her. All the way to the end, though, right? Like, I was literally thinking, like, man, I hope nothing happens to Gina. But yeah, uh, yeah, love Gina. Another character, I can't believe I didn't talk about him first, but Antonio, even though he wasn't necessarily on screen for long, I love anyone who's just gonna sit there, and jam out to some music, and that's what he did. We brought him that record, and then, he's just in his office jamming out while the world is just going to crap or whatever, and it's subtle things like that that you learn to appreciate. Finding finding peace and fun in all the chaos. I think that's something that we all need to learn to do, right? So yeah. What other character was there? Right. So I spoke on him a little bit in the beginning, but I'm going to talk about Voss again. One of the things I liked about Voss was just how manipulative he was, and then how he was manipulative with the devious intent, and you could feel it. The way he was manipulating that one Nazi dude, I don't even know his name, but he manipulated that dude. Like, he ran laps around that dude, man. Like, he played every freaking tune. It was just like, yeah, like, I'm gonna give you a little bit of praise. What do you say? Give him a little bit of praise, recognition, and you can manipulate him. And I was just like, man, like, I know exactly what he's talking about because people have tried to do that to me, and it's just like, that is crazy. Like, the fact that like he's basically like this huge mastermind, and like it just felt like he was just there. He was just in your head. He's not even talking to you, and he's in your head. That's how effective of a character he was. But there was an interesting moment with him in Indiana where he brings up his father, and then, you can see Indiana's just like, yeah, like, stop with the mind games or whatever, right? He even tried to pull that shade over Gina, where he's like, are you sure your sister didn't want to be here with us? Gina knows her sister more than anyone else. So yeah, Voss was definitely the type of character to do that. I think what was interesting the most about his character was, like, at the end we kind of see how power hungry he was, and basically how his ego, his lust for power just basically betrayed him at the end. Locust, who I'll talk about next, Locust kind of tells him like, hey, step away from the thing, you're going to hurt yourself. And then Voss is just so involved with himself, with his ambitions, that he's not even thinking about safety. He's like, I've come this far. I'm about to get the things that I always wanted, and no one's gonna stop me. And then he just dies right there. Really good lesson there to not let your ego, shroud your judgment or anything like that. Judgment, Jesus. But yeah, really good character. Locust was a character who, even though he wasn't on screen a lot, I felt like when they placed him well. He always seemed to be in an area where there was like a great challenge or like great knowledge to be learned. And like the fact that like he's on his mission, just makes it all the better, right? Giant dude, he's a Nephilim. He's trying to guard a secret. The fact that like that man made it all the way to that temple in, what was it called, Sukhothai? Yeah, the fact that like he made it all the way there and he freaking wrestled that snake. I was just like, yo, like this dude's a monster. Like he's like that one character that's just hiding in the shadows and it's just like I'm gonna reveal myself now. But yeah, really liked how they wrote his character in and made him part of the story. Um, Gosh, I feel like I'm missing someone, but maybe not. Oh, that's right. Uncle Sunan and Pai Lin. So, out of all the places that we've been, out of all the maps, I think I liked Sukhothai the most, mainly because of the stories. I made a little comment about how human history is like always it's like a moving story, right? And the way that we usually connect with one another is like through stories. So the fact that like Uncle Sunan was willing to share stories of like creation and stuff, you can look at that anywhere. Greek mythology, Roman mythology, Native American mythology. So the fact that like these stories all have like an origin and then they have like their pantheon of like whoever their mighty beings were or whatever. I always love that stuff. And if anyone is like, I'm gonna tell y'all a story about something like that, like I'm gonna listen because I love that stuff. It really helps you connect with some people and cultures who aren't necessarily yours, right? So yeah, those are definitely two characters that I also adored. But yeah, that's enough about the characters. I guess next I'll talk about gameplay. I really liked what they did here. The one thing that did frustrate me was the controls. I played on mouse and keyboard, so maybe that's part of my problem. But for the controls, one thing that bothered me the most was the gunplay. And this is completely my fault for playing on mouse and keyboard, but I feel like enough knowledge and know-how is already there where R should be the button to reload on a keyboard. I don't know why they thought that, like, no, you reload by not aiming down the sights and then shooting. Like, that didn't make sense to me. So the entire time I'm like pressing R and then the character's like doing something that I'm not anticipating it doing. So that was a little bit frustrating. Another frustrating moment was messaging. So messaging with... Hang on, I'm trying to find my thoughts here. Right, so messaging with the environment and with the puzzles. So I love the puzzles, and I've said this many times before, I don't necessarily like puzzles in games. But with this one, it was okay. So there was that one puzzle where we were in the jungle. I believe we were in Cambodia. I think that's where we were. But anyway, one of the puzzles had us take a key, and we had to use the key to move the circles or whatever. What I noticed in that is I had completed the first puzzle, and then I went into a room with the second puzzle. When I got there for the second puzzle, I didn't realize that I needed the key from the first puzzle. Nothing messaged or like let me know that like, hey, you need both keys. I assumed, as a player, I just assumed that like, oh, I got the key from this room, that's what I'm gonna use. Nothing let me know that like, oh, I should use that one. Not even like a line of dialogue from either Indiana or Gina letting me know like, hey, you should use the one that you got before. So there was like a moment where I think I was there for maybe 15 minutes. I had to edit that out because I was confused. Like, what do I do here? So that was a big one. The other big one is it felt like the environment art was conflicting with the level design. What I mean by that is in other games, right, like Horizon Zero Dawn or Resident Evil, they have very specific tells to kind of tell you where you need to go. I think Horizon Zero Dawn does like like yellow markings on rocks. For Resident Evil, it's like the yellow tape. Clear distinction of this is where you need to go. Like you look at it and it's like this is where you need to go. The levels designed in a way such that like you're looking down the hallway or whatever, it's funneling you to that mark, right? In this game, it felt like that was missed. They tried, but there were moments where the markings on the rocks, right? They tried to mark it with like white paint or like just residue, but it blended in too much. It looked too much like, okay, that's just supposed to be there. I then found out that like, okay, I am supposed to go this way, but the issue was it didn't stand out, right? So that was one thing. The other issue was the fact that like they would use the same marking. So the marking I'm talking about specifically, the paint or whatever, right? So they used it when they wanted you to climb, but then they also used it when they wanted you to crawl. And here you have one message being used for two different things, and that frustrated me a little bit because there was another part in the temple area where I saw that marking and I was like, okay, I jump over because I've seen this before. I need to jump. And it's like, no, you don't jump. Like we marked it, but you're reading it as jump. Like we really want you to crawl. So that was another frustrating thing, right? And it's like, keep it consistent because that does add a little bit of frustration. It definitely frustrated me. To be honest, that's not even the first time something like that has frustrated me. Going on a tangent a little bit here for another game, something that I experienced with the messaging, right? Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, when you're inside the Mithril Mines, they usually have like the blue marker on the ground saying that like walk here and then something will happen. I couldn't see that, and the same thing happened. I spent about 10 minutes wondering like where do I go? I couldn't see it because the color blended in with the blue mithril crystals, and basically that marker had got washed out by the blue crystals. So I was running around for like maybe 10-15 minutes trying to figure out where do I go. And I looked carefully and I was like, it's right here, but I can't see it because of the blue crystals. So yeah, messaging in games gets important, and you know, sometimes they do the best that they can, but there are just moments where it's just like, man, this is really frustrating, but you know, they do all that they can do. So yeah, if I were to give a rating on Indiana Jones, I would say from 1 to 10, I'd give it a 7. I give it a 7 because the messaging and some of the gameplay, right, were really they hit enough to where I think that it required more time of me to really figure out like what I needed to do. Level design, phenomenal. Art, phenomenal. Voice acting, phenomenal. But yeah, it's definitely a 7. Yeah. All right, switching gears. Now we're going to talk about the current playthrough of Subnautica. So yeah, I'm really enjoying Subnautica. A while ago, I had a laptop, and that laptop was not strong enough to run Subnautica, but Subnautica was definitely a game that I really wanted to play. What ended up happening was when that game came out, I tried to play it, but then I realized I shouldn't play this game until I play it the way it's meant to be played, which is like max graphics, obviously. Max graphics and, you know, a well enough machine. And I have that now, so that's why I'm playing it now. Back in the day, I saw a few YouTube videos, but I never watched enough to fully understand the context or, you know, the story or anything else about the game. So as you're watching me play, I'm learning all these things as I go, so apologies for that. I know it's been out for a while, but, you know, I have to take things at my own pace. But so far, I'm really enjoying the game. I'm enjoying the game. I'm enjoying the, you know, the audio. I'm enjoying the you know, the environment, all that. It's just such a gorgeous game, and I'm so glad I have a machine that I can play it on. It has, however, uh, it's brought out a fear I didn't realize I had. In one of the videos, I'm gonna upload it soon, I promise. There's a moment where I go up for air, and you see me do this a lot throughout the other videos if you're watching. Going up for air, and when I break the surface, I go back down, and when I go back down, every time I can see the ground, right? Like I can orient myself because I know that the ground is in front of me. Um, there was a moment when I did that. I broke the surface, got air, went back down, and then there was nothing. I kept going, I kept going, I kept going down, and all I hear is the mechanical sounds of the sea glider. Just, just going down, just going down. And it kept happening, and then it got darker. So imagine going from all the light, and then it just gets dark, dark, dark. Imagine going from that, also hearing, you're hearing the creatures from above. You keep going down, and you hear nothing but the sea glider. That was when the, gosh, I'm sorry, my camera just like did a whole thing right now, so I had to like check it, but when that happened, that's when I kind of had like the fear of like thalassophobia, I think it's called, where I was just like, oh my god, I feel it. This is what everybody's talking about. Uh, and then as I'm going down, and then when that hits, I'm just like, oh man, I gotta go back up. I need to go back up. So I go back up and I look back at like whatever that void was, and I'm just like, I'm not ready to be here. I should not be here. I need to go do more. But anyway, yeah, I'm really enjoying the game, and I'm glad that I can play it at the level that I'm able to play it at now. So yeah, that's Subnautica. Please, 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 if you're watching those videos, please comment on them, leave a like, subscribe, all that. I expect, 2025 is going to be a good year for games. There's a few I'm looking forward to. But yeah, if you're watching these, and I'm speaking to my 7 subscribers here, yeah, 7. I don't know who you are, but thank you. Yeah, definitely like those videos. Moving forward, for 2025, I think I'm anticipating Monster Hunter Wilds and Avowed. Obviously GTA 6, but we'll talk about that in another video. Monster Hunter Wilds, I did play the beta. I like what I saw. It's probably the first Monster Hunter I'm gonna play and spend a lot of time in. All the other ones didn't necessarily do it for me, but this one seems like the one. Avowed, I love Pillars of Eternity. It's set in the same world, so I'm definitely gonna check that out. That will be on the channel. And if you don't know, the reason the channel name is Cipher Tim is because Pillars of Eternity has a class called Cipher, which is a really cool way of making a mage-like character. If I remember correctly, they play mind tricks basically, where they kind of like put whispers like in a person's head, like they can connect their brains and then just like put whispers, make them see stuff. Or hear stuff, and it's just like a really interesting class, and I love everything about it, from like the aesthetics, the abilities. But yeah, that's why the channel is called Cipher Tim. Really love the Cipher class. But anyway, Avowed, yeah, looking forward to that. It's an Obsidian game. I love Obsidian. I still need to go through and finish the Outer Worlds. My backlog is crazy, y'all. I'm sorry. Maybe that'll be one I start over and put on the channel. I don't know. But yeah, feel like I've been talking for a while now, so I'm just gonna call it there. Yeah, if you're new to the channel, stick around. If you're not new, please like the videos, and yeah, subscribe if you haven't. Alright, I'll leave it there. Peace.